Okay, this will be a quick recording. I'm going to read this live, meaning that I have not read it before. So, Dune Imperium Uprising. Pre-orders for Dune Imperium Uprising now available. In the last design diary, we snuck a peek at the power of the new spy mechanic as a way to keep your agent placement open. But even loyal agents need to be paid, so today we're taking a look at the valuable contracts in the Dune Imperium Uprising and how the Throne module works. So contracts is the first system designed for Uprising. Okay, this I'm surprised with. I wanted to push further into one of the central challenges of Dune Imperium, which asks the players which cards you want to use and which board spaces do you want to visit. Contracts are tied to these core questions by allowing you to receive benefits, sending an agent to specific board spaces. Here's how they work. At the start of the game, the contract tiles are shuffled face down, 2 are revealed and placed on the game board, the rest remain in the bank. So this is similar to tech tiles. When you trigger a contract icon, you take one of the 2 face-up contracts, then reveal a new one from the bank to replace it. Typically, you'll trigger this icon from either Emperor or Throne areas of the board. So these 2 places, Dutiful, Service, and Accept Contract. Contracts are then placed in front of you. When you complete a contract, you turn it face down and receive the printed reward. For contracts simply require you to visit for most contracts, completion simply requires you to visit the board spaces indicated on the contracts. For example, after you've taken the contract, next time you visit Deliver Supplies, you gain 3 Solari and turn the contract face down. Each contract can only be completed once. So some contracts have asked you to harvest a certain amount of spice. For example, for these contracts, you must dispatch your harvester in the spice-rich deserts of Arrakis. So send an agent to a maker board space, so either of the desert spaces, and gain the indicated amount of spice to complete the contract. So let's say if it's 3+, you get 3 Solari. For example, if you send an agent to Imperial Basin using the Smuggler's Harvester, you complete 3+ contract if Imperial Basin has at least 1 spice bonus. So it doesn't matter like where you get the spice from, but you must send it to a desert space for at least the ones that require you to go to the desert space. So a little over half the contracts provide Solari reward, but the other half on the table too. Here are some of the contracts. So you get High Council, you get 3 Solari. If you get Arakin, you get a troop and a spy. If you go, this is pretty good. If you go Saduka, what's Saduka? Well, Saduka's one on top. You get 2 cards. Not sure how good this is. There are 2 oddball contracts in the game, and they don't ask you to visit board spaces. So one is immediately get 2 Solari. This is similar to Wealth last time, and also acquire Spice and Flow. You get a get Guild Influence and 3 Solari. I bet you can guess precisely. I bet you can guess precisely how this contract works. If not, please lodge a complaint with your local Throne delegate or ask it on our Discord. This is on the Direwolf Discord. You can probably ask LSR as well. Now that we know the fundamentals of how contracts work, let's talk about how there are pros and cons. In my mind, the best things about contracts is the replayability they add to the game. It's more difficult to stick to your favorite set of opening moves. This is exactly what I said, right? That it creates variable setups. When 2 randomly selected contracts are in a row, tipping the skills of payoff in different strategies. Sometimes these early contracts might provide a significant early boost that you want to pursue. If you do, remember that competitive opponents can factor in your goals in their decision making. If you take Deliver Supplies, when do you think you'll be able to send an agent to deliver supplies? It might take a while depending on the first player market and how aggressive your opponents look to block you. One potential drawback with contracts is the risk of goal overload that new players can experience. By themselves, contracts are not complex, but Uprising brings new things to Dune Imperium, and some contracts may feel like one too many things to juggle. That's why we decided to make a module about optional elements of Uprising that we call Throne module. We highly recommend no contracts game or to get comfortable with Uprising, then add them into your game. So every time you trigger a contract, you gain 2 Solari. So that's what's printed on the board, and if you don't place a contract here, there's a basic reminder for what collecting 2 Solari collecting 2 Solari when trigger a contract icon. But once you add the Throne module into the mix, you're able to shuffle in 4 additional Imperium cards and 1 leader. These are all marked with the Throne module on the top left corner. These refer to contracts in some way. They give you some additional methods of picking up contracts, and some reward you for your mercantile accomplishments. So some reward for completing contracts. This is 4 contracts. 4 contracts is insane. How do you ever get 4 contracts? If you completed 4 or more contracts, trash this card. I'm not too sure how I feel about this. 4 contracts is a lot. Reveal 2 spies? I'm not too sure how I feel about these cards. Okay, and then 4 down, if you completed 2 or more contracts, you get 4 swords. I talked about some intrigues being like that. 4 Solari for 1 faction influence. Retreat 1 or 2 of your troops and get a contract. These aren't great. I don't think contracts are very good, but never mind, we'll go on. For the players to integrate the Rise of Expansion, Rise of X expansion with Uprising, there's additional 10 Rise of X special contracts included in the game. The Rise of X board overlays one of the contract spaces, which significantly changes how many contracts players can acquire. Start a game, the Rise of X contracts are shuffled. Each player looks at 2 and chooses 1. Oh, so Rise of X, everyone starts with a contract. But one thing different about these starter contracts is that the reward for them includes taking another basic contract. Huh. This allows number of contracts to be able to complete it in the same ballpark as an Uprising game without X. Oh, this is interesting. I like this. We talked about how it covers up one of the new mechanics and how they're going to integrate it back. I think this makes sense. As you can see, some of them refer to board spaces that only become available when Rise of X is added. And then Uprising comes with 9 new leaders. Okay, we'll talk about the leaders later. So contracts, I've been thinking of, I think this is hard, like delayed rewards, right? So when you think of delayed rewards, you think of what? Interstellar shipping. Interstellar shipping is really good. You get it and then you get so much reward. It's delayed, right? But this is a delayed reward that requires you to go to a specific space that doesn't give you enough Solari for Swordmaster. I find it very hard to justify going there. Maybe 2 contracts will get you Swordmaster second, like if you get this second, right? But then still you have to spend 4 actions. I think it all comes up to how your actions can line up, and then some of these contracts you will figure out that it's easier to block, harder to block, or some no one will want to block in. Yeah, I struggle with these contracts. I think this one is the most interesting. Like, it allows you to put in extra troops, but Erikine allows you to draw a card and get 1 troop. Yeah. So Erikine this one is probably the most interesting. It almost sets up like a delayed Hardy Warriors for no water. It gets you a spy as well. I think this Erikine one's the most interesting. The rest I don't think are very good. Even like early Solari without Mentat, I don't think it's very good. There's no real payoff for it as well. Maybe you can get more troops and water, but I find it very tough. You're competing with a lot of other things. I don't think contracts are very good. And the payoffs, at least we see here, they are very steep. Like, they expect you to complete 4 contracts in a game. That requires you to gather 4 contracts, right? It means you have to go to contract spaces 4 times. 4 actions out of your 18, 20 actions. I don't think this will happen. I have to wait and see. I think compared to the other mechanics, I think the worm mechanic is probably strongest, and then after that is spies. But maybe spies depending on the cards. But I think this will be, I think the power level needs to be pushed a little bit more, but we'll have to see. So I really like this Rise of X thing. Like, I think variable setup is great. This sounds exciting, but contracts by themselves, I'm a bit iffy on. Okay, so Uprising comes with leaders. One is Shaddam Corino IV, aka Emperor of the Known Universe, requires the Throne module. Because when you play Shaddam, you alone have access to 2 Sadaka contracts because Sadaka swears loyalty to the Emperor. So set aside both Sadaka contracts, only you can acquire them in the game. So one is when you visit Saduka, you get Swordmaster. This is Swordmaster, right? Am I going crazy? This is Swordmaster, right? Oh, you lift up an agent. No, you lift up an agent, you recall an agent. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you go to Sadaka, you recall an agent. Only you can acquire them during the game. So you still need to acquire them. It's not even that you start with them. And the other one is that when you go to Sadaka, you draw 2 cards. Sadaka is 3 spice. So units can't be deployed to the conflict this turn, but you can get additional troop or Solari. Or 3 Solari for Faction Bomb. I think 3 Solari for Faction Bomb seems strong. But we have played with one of the faction leaders, or one of the family leaders with 2 Solari for Faction Bomb. That is quite painful as well. I think 1 Solari and 1 troop is very strong. Depends how conflicts go. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but I think the power level of the leaders are generally quite low. Okay, so you're allowed to stack the contract. So you visit you visit the boss space and then you complete both. So I think there's reasons to get both. So signaling can be mix of blessing, get a troop and a Solari early game, but you cannot deploy troops, so it requires you to set up. The other option is to pay Solari for influence. Yeah, I think late game influence is very good. Both line up with the story of Dune where the Emperor is scheming in the background for quite some time, but Shaddam can really make his mark in the late game and he can line up things properly. Okay, so that is all. Again, asking you to pre-order now, and thank you Paul Denon for this. I'm not too sure how good this leader is. I think he'll be pretty decent. These are relevant. Like, these are relevant and early, and this is relevant late. So his ring seems good. His passive is a bit average, I guess. So, recall an agent means that you get Sadaka for as a free action. I think stacking contracts will be important. Like, if you can stack good contracts, I think probably that's the best way. Like, yeah. So I'll take some of the things back I say about contracts if you can stack them. So if you can get similar contracts, your game will line up quite well, right? If you can get like multiple contracts where you need to harvest spice and get Solari, and you claim it all in one turn, like, I think that could make it worth it, right? But off my head, when I look at contracts by themselves, I cannot see how powerful they are. I think delayed rewards are good, but these delayed rewards are very conditional as well. Like, you want to go Sadaka and you draw 2 cards. 2 cards means you want to play what Spice Muscle, but then you're going to a space that naturally doesn't draw any cards that requires faction access. So some good, some bad, I guess. Yeah, so that's my reaction to contracts. I don't really like them. I like the idea of them, but I don't think they're powerful enough based on those that we see. I like this Arakino one the most. And I like stacking these spice ones. Yeah, so do write in the comments what you think. And here is the reaction to the Uprising diaries for contracts. See you around.